All right, welcome back. Second segment of our Steelers show. We talked about last week's game against Jacksonville. They're at home against Detroit. Last game of the preseason. Getting ready for the regular season. Um, let's quickly go over maybe some things we're looking for. I would say quarterback. Man, a lot of questions about Kenny Pickett. Could Kenny Pickett start? Joe, I know you're I don't know if you're pro Mitch, but I think you're fine with Mitch starting the year at quarterback. Do you have any other thoughts? I mean, Kenny's looked pretty good so far. Any thoughts about maybe saying could Kenny start in week one?
I don't think I would throw a fit or panic or something if Kenny got the nod. Uh, I still feel a little more comfortable starting with Trubisky. That may just be me, but that's how I feel.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know if it. I don't know if I would expect Kenny to stay on the bench for the entire year. But I also don't know when you'd pull that trigger or why.
I am starting to hear more discussion, and we'll get to Paul next, but I know what Paul's going to say. He's going to whip off his shirt and have Kenny Pickett painted on his chest, and it's going to be crazy.
Like a 3D, like a whole.
Until a day or two ago, I was okay with Mitch Trubisky starting. Here's the thing that's starting to concern me. I'm starting to hear some reports on ESPN from people saying that they're talking to people inside the organization. They're saying Pickett has really, a lot of people are impressed by him, and they're getting more impressed by him by the day. There is a conversation out there saying, okay, Mitch, start the season, but if you screw up, it's a Kenny Pickett show. I don't know if that helps Mitch Trubisky. I think he's a good quarterback. I think it's good to have a guy as a backup because if your number one guy gets hurt, you got him. I'm scared to run Kenny Pickett out there in game one. I don't want to mess up the kid's confidence or anything. But here's the other thing. How do you feel if you're Mitch Trubisky and they bring you out and say, all right, dude, you better not screw up or we're going to pull you. And then Mitch is probably like, okay, what do you mean by screw up? Is it one pick, two picks? Is it if you don't get a first down your first drive? Because there's a clamor for Kenny Pickett. And, man, geez, look at that first game in Pittsburgh. I mean, people were chanting. People were, high-fiving. And that's fun. That's exciting. I just don't want it to come too soon if it screws up Pickett's confidence. And I don't want it to come soon if Mitch Trubisky's like, you told me I was going to start. I didn't do anything necessarily wrong. Now, he had two bad passes last week that kind of ticked me off a little bit. But, I love Big Ben, but Big Ben had 500 bad passes last year. You know what I mean? So I guess I'm almost kind of leaning toward Kenny Pickett because the mob wants Kenny Pickett. And I'm afraid that Mitch is going to be. They're going to screw Mitch up. I mean, I can be ticked off if I was Mitch.
The mob also really, really liked Tim Tebow.
Yeah, that's true.
And what's Tim Tebow doing right now?
I'll be honest, Joe. I don't think Mitch Trubisky can win right now. And what I mean by that is, I think he can win games for the Steelers. I think we're getting to the point that unless Mitch is extremely efficient, like he doesn't turn the ball over, or if Mitch, comes out and balls out or anything, I think, man, the first time he throws a pick, they're going to be all over him. And I mean, much more than they were with Big Ben and everything else like that. I don't know if it's right, Joe. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm scared to death about running Kenny Pickett out there in week one. I just think
throw Kenny Pickett out to the Wolves. He gets eaten up game one. He gets messed up psychologically, and he's done. And then you have to go back to Mitch.
Yeah.
Or to Mason, two people that you've already kind of pushed aside. I don't feel good about it.
Well, and here's what I ever thought about rookies. Okay, Big Ben, he had a great career for the Steelers. You remember he had to play a lot in his first season because Tommy Max got hurt, and he looked good, and he kept his job. But you remember Big Ben in his first year? he threw like 10 to 15 passes a game. They ran the ball a ton and everything else like that. So, I don't know. It's a conundrum. You could be screwed either way the more I think about it. Well, let's see what Paul says. Because Paul's the Kenny Pickett's going to be Dan Marino his first year, and
I mean, and I know that it's partly biased. Being here in Pittsburgh, we got to see Kenny Pickett week after week up close. We know what he's capable of. We know he's comfortable in that stadium. I mean, he's played against Clemson. It's not like he's playing against rinky-dink schools. He's looked really good. He's been in some crunch situations. He's come through. The first interception Mitch throws, there will be chance of Kenny.
Will that not be true when Kenny throws his first pick, which will come?
Now, I think the difference, and Chris mentioned Ben and a lot of the ugly passes Ben throws. I think the reason Ben's ugly passes didn't bother us is because we knew Ben had the ability to compensate for that. I think Pickett has the ability to compensate for some bad throws. I don't know that I have that confidence with Trubisky, where if we go down 10-0 because he's not playing well, I don't have the confidence that he's going to rally it back. Ben had that. I think Pickett has that. I don't know if Trubisky has that.
I kind of agree with Paul's point there because look back at the highlights. There was a play where Mitch was like harassed. I mean, he barely got out of there. He was running. I'm sure he was a little scrambled, like, oh crap, I'm going to get sacked. What do I do? Well, Deontay Johnson took off down the field. He had his defender by 5 yards. If Mitch put the ball on Deontay Johnson's hands, it's a touchdown. It didn't come close. There was another play where, Mitch kind of threw it up, and a Jacksonville guy caught. He was out of bounds, so it turned out to be incomplete. I'm kind of looking at that saying, man, maybe Kenny has more poise. Because I like the fact where when Kendrick Green let a guy get right by him, was running right at Pickett, Pickett knew enough to, it was like a short out pass. If it got caught or not, at least he avoided a big sack or whatever. I'm seeing that. I'm kind of understanding Pickett's poise, but Pickett's a rookie. There's going to be games where he looks terrible. Mm-hmm. I mean, let me phrase it like this, because this might help our discussion here. Joe, we did the schedule game. Realistically, what do you think the Steelers could be at? Realistically, I mean, they could go 0-17. They could go 17-0. Are you saying if we had to pick, probably 8 or 9 games would you pick? Realistically, or am I low?
9-10.
9-10? Okay. Paul, what do you think? And this is whoever starts, even if they started Mason or Oladokin or whatever,
See, my answer is going to change depending on who our quarterback is. If it's Mitch, we're going to have that, we'll probably keep Tomlin's non-losing streak going, but it'll be like a 8-1, 9-8 kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking, too. I'm thinking the low end, maybe 7, and the high end, maybe 10. Which is, there's a lot, they used to say this, there was a lot of teams in the NFL that were anywhere between 6-10 and 10-6. They were okay, but, sometimes the NFL is you lose a game by a little or win a game by a little or whatever. This isn't a Super Bowl team. Yeah, if everything comes together, maybe the Steelers challenge for a Super Bowl, but they're probably not going to go there. So do you look at that and say, hey, let's put Kenny out there? If Kenny struggles and loses a game or two for us, oh well, we weren't going to make the Super Bowl anyway. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I'm not trying to go overboard with the comparison, but what if Pickett has what it takes to be the next Mahomes? And
if that happens, the Steelers could be a Super Bowl team because assuming their defense is good, you could be in that boat. So I guess the argument I'm trying to make is going into the season on paper, yeah, I think Joe and I talked about this the other week. Mitch doesn't turn the ball over, and if he doesn't turn the ball over and the defense plays good, the Steelers could win a fair number of games. So I've heard this described like Kenny Pickett's like your gambling ticket. You know, Mitch Trubisky's your safe bet. Maybe he doesn't lead to the Super Bowl, but he's not going to do anything bad. But Kenny's like your wild card. You know, if Kenny was Mahomes his rookie year, holy crap, you could win the Super Bowl. And if Kenny does poorly, you're not really weren't expected to go to the Super Bowl anyway. So whatever.
The other case I have for Pickett is, even in college, he does a lot of running. He's not a running quarterback, but he does do a lot of running. And his famous fake kneel run. I feel like he has more composure when he's scrambling. What I've seen in 2 preseason games, I'm worried about assuming that our offensive line is at best mediocre. Is Mitch going to hold up with the pressure of having to scramble a majority of the game?
Well, Joe, before we move on, let me say something that's going to take Paul off. We could start Kenny Pickett, and when Kenny Pickett flops miserably and the Steelers go 1-16, then the Steelers could do the right thing and use the first draft pick on C.J. Stroud of Ohio State, and we got the better quarterback anyway. How about that?
What are you saying?
He's from Ohio State.
Things.
He's from Ohio State, so it'll be
yeah,
great,
that's worked out really well in the past.
Is C.J. Stroud going to shatter Dan Marino's college records?
I don't know. Anymore, I don't know how.
Hey, man, whatever records he was listening to in the 70s, I'm sure, you can just shatter them pretty easily because they're very old.
Well, but even in that scenario, let's say we go 1-16. You know who had a 1-win season their rookie year? Troy Aikman. And then he became a dynasty.
Oh, yeah.
You know who else had 1 win in their seasons? Most of the Browns quarterbacks.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they get yanked that second season. They're starting all of. They've never given their quarterbacks time to work through the kinks. They yank them right away.
Yeah, because they want to win football games.
I'm torn here. I almost think when you go to Kenny Pickett, you can't look back. And even if Kenny Pickett struggles mightily and the Steelers lose games all over the place, you almost can't bench him for Mitch Trubisky because as a first-round pick, that could screw you up. So I think the big question the Steelers are going to have, and they're probably talking about this right now, is you say, do we take that risk? You know what I mean? Because it's so much easier to start with Mitch Trubisky, and then after a while you say, okay, it's Kenny Pickett time. Man, you start Pickett, you almost have to run with him. And as Paul said, there have been really good quarterbacks in the NFL who struggled their first year. I saw a video earlier this summer of Peyton Manning as a rookie. How many picks did he throw? He threw a ton. And if you watch him just his rookie year, like, man, this guy stinks. He turned out to be really good. So who knows? I just think, man, this is going to be really tough for the Steelers. You start Pickett, you got to play him unless he gets hurt.
Andrew Filipponi and I will save seats on the Kenny Pickett train when you guys decide to board.
Andrew Filipponi.
I don't want to be on board anything with Andrew Filipponi. No, thank you.
Andrew Filipponi just pretty much says, all right, I'm going to say something crazy to get clicks or listeners or whatever. Like, each day it kind of changes. Like, one day it's like, oh, Mason Rudolph's the best quarterback we have, Chris Oladokun he's going to be our franchise guy. He just says different things each day. But
this is the only thing that he and Chris Muller agree on is all aboard the Pickett train.
Yeah. All right. Running back. I don't know. To me, I guess where it comes down to, let's do this quick so we're not doing this for 10 hours tonight. To me, I guess the choice comes down to McFarland or Snell. I feel weird saying this, but I almost like Snell because of the special teams. Are you guys both voting for McFarland if you had to pick between the two?
I'm voting McFarland. I think there's still an untapped upside there.
Joe, I think you're saying McFarland, right?
Saying what?
McFarland over Snell. If that was the choice at the end.
I think I probably would if those are my only options.
Yeah, and like you were saying, hey, maybe they can get a
Yeah.
running back.
I-
Out there.
But
I
right
feel
now,
like-
it feels like would you rather have McDonald's or Taco Bell? That's
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. Yeah.
Tight end. I don't even know if it's a question. I mean, obviously it's Fryermuth, Zach Gentry, Connor Haywood. I mean, he's played pretty well in training camp. Yeah, you don't want to cut Cam Hayward's little brother, but there's a Steinbrenner. I think I got his name right from Green Bay, who's played pretty well too. Maybe they keep 4 tight ends. I mean, it's not out of the question to do that. Any thoughts on tight ends? I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
yeah.
I think so.
I think the only question is, do you keep the Green Bay kid or not? And it probably depends on what you do in the rest of your roster. Offensive line stinks. Hopefully they play better against Detroit. Is
Mess.
there anything realistic they could do between now and then? I mean, I guess you hope
There
you
are
coach them
people-
up.
There are people getting cut. Right now is
Right.
the time. And so I think there's somebody who's just got cut from Washington. Was it Washington?
One of New England's starting tackles are supposedly on the block too. Might cost you a first or second, but I mean,
But you got to do something because
yeah.
otherwise you don't have a wall. You've got a gate.
With
Well,
a broken hinge.
And in the past, the Steelers didn't make trades before the season that much. But look at the past couple of years. Joe Schobert, they made a trade for him. They made the Minka trade. So
Minka, yeah.
now the question, they can make
1 out
another
of 2
move.
ain't bad.
Yeah. Joe Schobert is available now. I just saw he got released by Denver. So you never know. I mean, Steelers inside linebacker. We'll talk
We
about them
haven't
in a
tapped
second.
all the hot dog vendors yet. I'd say
Yes.
we tap the hot dog vendors first.
Receivers, man, there's going to be some tough choices. Obviously, your Claypool, your Deontay, your Pickens, your Austin. Boykins had some good stuff in training camp.
Ozlowski.
Yeah, he's been good too. So you got 6 right there. Anthony Miller's out for the year, so we'll have to think about him. Who else are we missing? I mean, that might be your 6.
I think that's it.
But yeah, Steven Sims, though, played well too. I'm not sure if Sims beats
The super skinny guy.
Olszewski, but if they keep 7, Sims is an option, or Sims could be one of your practice squad guys.
Yeah.
And Cody White is the other receiver. His dad is in the front office for the Steelers, so I'm assuming he stands on as a practice squad dude. All right, anything else on the offense? I think we got through everybody, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Chris Boswell will stay as your kicker. I don't think they get rid of Boswell anytime soon, so you don't have to worry about that.
And Harvin's the
There's the
punter.
beer vendors
Yeah.
still. You gotta.
Yeah, definitely. Defensive line. I mean, I think the main guys are going to be your main guys. I think Cam Hayward's okay. I think he would play if it was regular season. They're just sitting him out because it's preseason.
Yeah.
Any surprises that you guys could think of on the defense line?
I don't think so. I hope not.
I like was it DeMarvin Leal?
Yeah, he played
I
pretty
like him a
well.
lot.
Yeah,
I like what I'm seeing there. But is there room for him?
he's a 3rd-round pick, so unless he did something really crazy bad, he's going to make the team.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think, between Cam Hayward, Ogunjobi, Ty Lulu, Montavious Adams, who they still like, Leal. I mean, you got 5 defensive linemen. We're not even counting Chris Wormley, who probably should make the team. That's 6. Yeah, I mean, that's probably your defensive line. I mean, the
Should be
Davis
solid.
brothers. Yeah, they got the Davis brothers who probably spend time in the practice squad if they're, but that's about it. Linebacker, that's something we should talk about. Obviously, TJ Watt, yeah, he's okay. He'll make the team.
Oh, you think? You think he'll make the team?
I want to see Highsmith stepping up a little bit. When you're
Definitely.
playing on the other end of TJ Watt, I mean, Paul, Joe, and I should each have 10 sacks, but Highsmith had 6 sacks. He wasn't as dominant as I hope he would be. But, they cut Gerard Avery. I'm not sure who else they got. They got Tuska. They had a couple young guys behind them. I saw a Steelers writer kind of speculate, saying maybe they really like the young guys. If they're going to keep Tuska as 3, and maybe they're up on a young guy down there. Inside linebacker has gotten interesting. Miles Jack's fine. Let's not worry about him. Devin Bush looked better. I'm not saying that Devin Bush is going to be fine, but he looked better in the first game. After the first game, I thought, man, his career's over. Anybody notice anything about Robert Spillane? I didn't hear too much about him at the game.
Nope.
I didn't see him do anything crazy good or crazy bad, so I guess it's all right.
I feel like the Spillane or Bush is another one of those. Do you want McDonald's or Taco Bell scenarios?
The guy that has stuck out, and I'm hearing more and more people talk good about this guy, Mark Robinson. It was 7th round draft pick. They say he's played really well in training camp. I don't think Mark Robinson's going to start alongside Jack, but keep that guy. That guy's climbing the depth charts. Yeah.
Going back to outside, what about Vaughters? Would you? You're not going to sit high.
Who's Vaughters?
We signed him. Yeah, James Vaughters. We signed him Monday.
Oh, I don't know much about the guy. Is he play for other teams, or is he a young guy?
From the Bears or Falcons, or
I think it's Atlanta.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe that's the other guy that they were looking at, because you want experience. I'm not crazy about Tuska, but at least Tuska has a little bit of experience. And maybe, you're looking at Avery as that 3rd or 4th guy. So maybe Vaughters is your 3rd or 4th guy with Tuska. Is that super sexy? No, but, you can't spend a ton of money on every guy on your roster. So maybe
Highsmith isn't sexy on his own either. That might need some interchangeable parts there.
Well, and if you look at toward the draft, that might be a place you need to go in the draft a little earlier. Obviously, offensive line should be the most highest position, but maybe they're looking for another outside linebacker. Okay. Any other thoughts on the linebackers?
I'm almost looking at the popcorn vendors now for Devin Bush's spot at this point.
I'm hearing good things about Mark Robinson. I was listening to the Arthur Moat show, and he was actually questioning, should we look at Mark Robinson as a starter? And I'm assuming the answer is no right now. But Mark Robinson's playing good. They're comparing him to young Vince Williams. And I know Vince Williams isn't a Hall of Famer, but man, Vince Williams would be gold right now. A young Vince Williams in this line backers. Defensive backs, once the guys back healthy, see what they could do. Steelers picked up a safety today. I never heard of the guy, but he's played for the Jets, I believe. I heard Marcus Allen, my favorite Steeler, is playing a little bit more inside linebacker, so maybe he's a guy who can play inside. The Moat Show, I was watching a lot of Steelers content this week, was saying that what if they ever could move Terrell Edmonds to inside linebacker? I don't know if that will work out or not. I'll tell you, Terrell Edmonds looked great on Saturday. He had a couple good run stops, so I was impressed by him. Quarterbacks, again, 3rd preseason game, you're not going to see Minka play the whole game or Cam or anything else like that. Is there anything you guys are looking at, defensive backs, that concern you, or any questions you want to get answered in this last game?
I don't think so.
I know there's a new safety they just picked up.
They got from the Jets.
Waivers from the Jets. So, some of these other options that are out there, is interested to see more of them. But otherwise, no. I feel like we've got a fairly solid secondary that's going to work the way we need it to.
Yeah, they don't have that number 1 guy, but I've liked what I've seen. That Kazee, the guy he played recently for Dallas and Atlanta.
Right.
He's pretty good.
Yep.
I mean, I know he's not Minka or he's not the Honey Badger, but man, they got him for cheap and he can play. I like that. I don't think Terrell Edmonds is your All-Pro, but you can do worse than Terrell Edmonds. Obviously, Minka's great. Trey Norwood is growing. Arthur Millay made some plays in the first 2 games. He's kind of like a hybrid corner safety. So they don't have that prototypical lockdown cornerback I wish they had, but they got a bunch of number 2s, and sometimes I hate talking about number 2 in a positive way but no, their number 2s can actually play well. I saw Levi Walls do a couple of nice things.
So if you number 2 a whole bunch, it makes up for not having number 1.
Yeah, a lot of number 2s.
That idea transfers to other topics, but
yes, very, very much so. And I'll tell you, it's funny. Joe and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. We tried to make a case for the Steelers really doing well in the AFC North. You look at some of these other teams. I haven't heard too much about Baltimore, but Lamar Jackson still isn't signed. I mean, he could be gone after this year. Does that motivate him to do well, or does that tick him off and maybe he doesn't do well? I mean, Baltimore, some people think Baltimore's going to be great this year. I'm not so sure. I had Pierre Holland, our buddy from the Hall of Fame, to talk about the Browns, and he's going up to the Browns-Bears game to cover that for the Canton Repository. He gave me 3 or 4 huge questions about the Browns that I would be scared about right now. You look at their receivers. They got Amari Cooper, who's okay. He plays really well sometimes. He doesn't play well the other times. They got 3 young guys who are hurt right now at their number 2 receiver. I mean, the Steelers, they would love to have Steelers receivers.
And they're starting Jacoby Brissett for
right
11 weeks.
Top 2 centers are hurt for a long time, too. Man, centers are important. Yeah, the Steelers found out last year when you had Kendrick Reed starting at center the whole year. So, yeah, I'm not sure about the Browns. The Bengals will be good. I'm not saying the Bengals are going to stink. The Bengals haven't played their starting offense all preseason. Joe Burrow's been out with appendix. He's back. They say it looks okay. But, you got to have some continuity, not just on preseason gameplay and practice. They're starting to finally practice the first team as a whole in offense. And defense, Jesse Bates just came back, their star safety. But I'd take the Steelers defense of the Bengals right now. So, I don't know. All right, so next week we'll break down the the 3rd preseason game. Oh, boy. And then, I don't know, we don't really have anything to look forward to, so maybe we could do predictions or something. I don't know. Any other thoughts on the Steelers?
No.
Joe, will you stay awake for the whole preseason game? I'm not sure if you get that.
Maybe there.
Yeah. So, okay. Sorry, it's getting late for me, too. All right, so check out our show. Thanks for share us with your friends, especially your Steelers friends. Sign up for Cash App. Great way of sharing money. If you're collecting money from people or you're spending money, great way of sharing that. So, thanks for checking us out. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week as we talk about the Steelers and the Lions. Have a good one, everybody.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Mooney. Welcome to what is our new Hope Interrupted podcast based on the work from our book, Hope Interrupted, that I co-authored with my good friend Byron McCauley.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm looking forward to this podcast as much as I was looking forward to writing this book with you. We hope to interview some high-impact folks as well as have a little fun.
We're going to cover stories of hope. To learn more about our podcast and our book, please visit www.hopeinterrupted.com.